Hey Mike, thank you so much for jumping on this call with me today. Um, Maybe we can just start by giving us a quick background about your business, kind of who you serve and what products or services you sell to them.
Sure. So I run a company called Kitchen Remodeling SEO. It's a full-scale digital marketing agency that provides search engine optimization, paid social, paid search ads, video streaming ads, and AI implementation to kitchen and bath remodeling contractors, large remodeling companies, and cabinet companies alike.
Oh yeah, and how long have you been running this business?
So the business has been in operation since 1999, and it has been specifically targeting the kitchen and bath industry since 2021.
Oh yeah, and that's quite a while. It's good to see you sticking it out so long. Typically, how have you gone around like generating new business for yourself?
Sure. So most of our business was generated through running Facebook advertising, doing SEO work where we show up on page one for kitchen bath marketing companies, kitchen remodeling SEO companies, things to that extent, and obviously any kind of referrals from consultants doing a lot of joint partnership, joint venture work. But the biggest hole in it is all of that is presuming that people are actively looking. So we were able to implement cold email outreach with your help, and that's made a huge difference.
Cool, cool. And before working with us, had you tried any sort of like direct outreach, or had you mostly relied on like referrals and SEO and ads?
So I would say that we tried direct outreach on our own. We utilized various email programs like Woodpecker, like Mailchimp. We incorporated outbound callers and things to that extent, but it was all on our own without really understanding that industry. I would say 95% of our business came from our actual paid ads or SEO work or referrals. Very little came from the direct outreach.
And when you were running it yourself, what sort of issues were you running into when you were trying to run it kind of on your own?
Not understanding the tech stack needs, essentially burning domains, not being able to send more than 20 or 30 emails a day. We would purchase a single domain, use that to send, but not you obviously kind of dialed in the fact that you can't do that, and you get multiple domains, changing them up frequently, while still keeping everything kind of branded, so that you don't lose all the hard work that you've done branding for a decade plus.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And since working with us, what sort of results have you seen?
So since working with you, we've actually seen some pretty significant growth in our business. We at one point were doing 5 to 6 strategy calls a week. We actually were booking even more than that. Show up rates was a real problem, and you guys helped us refine the systems and refine the targeting so that our show up rates are much higher now. But that really was a big change.
Great, great. And have you been able to close many deals off the back of these cold emails specifically, or like have you seen any tangible results yet, or not quite yet?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say that in the last 3 months, we've seen a paradigm shift in where our closed jobs are coming from. And I would say that we're probably a lot closer to the 50-50 or 60-40 at best split between ads and cold outreach. In fact, just the past 2 weeks alone, we've closed 2 clients from people who you guys have reached out to initially.
Okay, fantastic. And I think like many companies, running ads and trying to diversify where clients are coming from, just because it makes, let's say, the business feel safer. You sleep better at night knowing that if one thing goes down, there's still something to come in. Maybe for like my benefit as well as anyone who's watching this, what are the kind of cost per acquisition differences that you're seeing at the moment? Are ads cheaper than outbound, or is outbound cheaper than ads in your particular industry, or are they both pretty similar?
I think the biggest difference is when you run ads, you kind of treat it like the bathroom faucet. is you can turn the ad spend up and down as you need. We've turned the ad spend down a little bit now that we're working with you because we have much more of an omnipresent approach rather than just targeting people on Facebook. Now, when we do a trade show or we're going to have a speaking engagement, we're going to turn that ad spend way up. But I would say that the cost per lead is pretty even actually between Facebook ads and what you're doing. I would say that the cost per lead when you're running pure Google search is actually significantly more. However, I do think that you do get a better result with Google ad. But you have to have a pretty significant budget to go after that.
Yeah, for sure. I think cold outbounds, depending on the industry, can be a lot cheaper, but I think you can kind of hit that ceiling where in ads you can crank that up to $100,000 a month, but it's very hard to get that sort of volume with the cold outbound stack. One thing I did want to say as well is you seem to be really good at getting prospects across the line once they're on like a video call with you. What do you think that you do that enables this? Because I think you do a particularly good job at this.
So the biggest thing that we do is we don't just go into a call cold, and to use the term, right? We'll actually take a look at their website. We'll run reports before we get on a video call with them. We have a very specific action plan, and we take a consultative approach rather than a sales approach. I don't go in telling people, hey, it's going to cost X amount of dollars for our services. Rather, we start by adding value and simply saying, listen, I've actually taken a look at your website, I've taken a look at your Facebook profile, I've actually looked at the market and what your competitors are doing. Let me show you a report as to where your competitors are actually getting jobs that you're losing out on. And by building that trust factor, it's a lot easier. And the comment that I get from most people when I end my strategy call is, whether they go forward with us or not, is that we gave them something that they've never got before, which is we didn't actually try and sell them right away.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I think that also mirrors quite nicely with the outreach that we're doing for you at the moment, which is doing that competitor. We call it a competitor analysis, but the main juicy part of the outreach is that you're using AI to pull in their biggest competitors in their local area, which I think in the home services industry, if they're like regionally, let's say, constrained, where they can only generate jobs or work with people in their area, like their competitors are taking work away from them, essentially, because there's only a finite amount of kitchens that need to be done in a city, and if there's 10 people that are being able to service that, if your competitors are doing a better job than you, they're going to take business away from you. And so I think that it's a very valuable thing for this specific industry to be able to do what you can do on these calls, which is to say this is what other people in your space are doing. Now that you've got these two sort of modes working for you, ads and an outbound, what's sort of the next step in your business for your growth?
So one of the biggest things that you have been able to provide us is not so much even just the ability to close jobs, but the volume of qualified leads. So for example, with ads, you're going to get a lot of funnel hackers. You might get a lot of downloads of a checklist, or people might fill out a form, but they're not even in your industry. So our next step actually is putting people who we haven't been able to get into actual calls, who have raised their hand and said, yeah, I'm interested, or just no-showed, putting them into more of a long-term nurture sequence, and then using actually our own outreach, our own email, text workflows and email workflows, and even having our appointment setters follow up with them to try and get them in. And I say that because I got an appointment for next week with one of the very first people that you provided us almost 6 months ago. And it's a marathon, it's not a race to close, I guess is what I would say.
Yeah, for sure. And in all honesty, that is something that we're working on ourselves as well. Like we've grown our business off very direct response marketing. Like we do outreach, we get them on discovery call, we pitch, we try and close them. And like often that's like a 4-day cycle is like how we've grown our business. And we've just realized like that is, you're just missing so much. Like you're missing 95%, I would say. So now we're getting into that as well. We're adding everyone on LinkedIn. I'm obviously building out YouTube, which is part of why we make these videos now as well. And I think what we're finding is a lot of the higher ticket, more serious people, one, are already in long-term contracts with previous providers, so they can't just jump ship within 4 days. And they're not super reactive people. They take the time to make their decisions. So if you're constraining yourself to like this really short sales cycle and building everything around it, you're going to end up with the people that do jump ship all the time and probably don't have as much money, and they're just worse quality businesses to work with. So we're definitely finding that building a long-term system, wow, it works. Like, everyone's told me this for years, but like now, until you actually do it, the information kind of goes over your head a little bit. So thank you so much for your time, Mike. I really appreciate it. And yeah, cheers, mate.